Okay, it is list season. It's that time of year. Spring camp's over for everybody, and sites have to figure out how to get readers. So they make lists. Who's the best? And the most recent one was the top quarterbacks in the Big 12. Well, these lists are just there to get people to talk. And I feel like talking, so it's kind of nice to have the list. Hope you feel like talking or at least listening. Talking's great if you want to get in with the comments. Now, there's no denying that Garrett Green is getting a lot more respect this year than he did last year. And I'm not going to quibble about him being rated number 5. That's not unreasonable. I think he'll be better than that. I think he is better than that. But it's not an unreasonable place to have the national media start him out. My thing really is that the lists aren't particularly based on anything. When you read the explanation for why a given quarterback is in this spot, most of them read pretty much the same. You can't exactly figure out why they have them where they do based on their explanations. And of course, it's almost entirely numbers. Or maybe, well, it's numbers and hype. That's pretty much it. National media doesn't have time for in-depth research, and neither do I really. I mean, I have not studied these other quarterbacks or the team. I recognize a lot of the names, but that's it. So I'm not going to try to tell you who is better than who else. However, national media feels entirely qualified to tell you that. I'm going to take a quick look at a few things, then get to my next reason for why these lists are nothing but, let's call it chat bait. Yeah, get you started talking. Guy right ahead of Greene is Jalen Daniels. And I mean, Jalen Daniels is a good quarterback. But as they point out, he's never played in more than 9 games in a season, only played in 3 last year. I mean, he has the problem that a lot of people worried Greene would have. So, how can you go from that to saying he this year is going to be the 4th best or is the 4th best quarterback going into the season? He plays well when he plays, but he's coming back from a serious injury. How back will he be? How long will he be back? I don't see rating him number 4 based on that. Cameron Rising, 7th freaking year. How many guys are there who are in their 7th year this time around? Getting kind of out of hand. I understand some of the reasoning, but it's still a problem. And, okay, he was out all last year. And I say, if he gets back to form, he'll be one of the most reliable. They really didn't have anything great to say. And again, it's based on a pretty big if. Noah Fafita. What is, his big deal? on what they list. Well, he completed 72.4% of his passes in the second half of the season. So he had a high completion rate. Well, that's not a bad thing, but it is not the be-all and end-all of being a quarterback. It is not even the be-all and end-all of passing statistics. Shedeur Sanders. I haven't watched him. I don't plan to watch him. I suppose he's good. His stats aren't really significantly better than Greene's if you're looking at things like passing yards. Now they're assuming that his offensive line is going to be better this year. I don't think you can assume much of anything about Colorado because everything changes this year, last year. How do you predict when there's no consistency? So now, if you're going to rate quarterbacks, it really has to be more than the freaking numbers. But of course, in order to be more than numbers, you actually have to study the teams. But I'm going to go to one point that I know Garrett Green has. I don't know about the others. All right, I was going to go to one point. Before that, because the knock against Greene is completion rate around 53%. And they act like it's going to stay there. They ignore the fact that he and the coaches know why it's low, why he misses layups. They have worked to fix that. Greene has worked with an outside quarterback coach. It is just not actually rational to assume that he's going to stay at 53%. And if he gets his completion percentage up into 60 to 65%, who higher is possible, but we'll just settle for 60 to 65. If he gets there, the rest of his stats blow everybody else out of the water. Because, he does almost everything else much, much, much better than anybody on this list. And they knock him and knock him and knock him for his completion percentage. Now, I will almost guarantee that his completion percentage is going to be 60% or higher this year. I can't guarantee that it won't affect any of his other numbers. I kind of expect some more interceptions this year. In part, I expect more total passing attempts for the season. And I think he will try to push the ball into some tighter spots. And he should. And there's the other. They described Greene as the textbook gunslinger. And then that's when they went on to say, based on how many yards he had with a low completion rate. And that is not the definition of a gunslinger quarterback. A gunslinger is high risk, high reward, with the emphasis on the high risk, and you're hoping for the high reward. The good gunslingers are high risk, high reward when they're on. That's because they try to force passes into places they probably shouldn't. They take a lot of risks. And, we're not talking, good bets. And, hey, when they work, people love them. Greene did not take risks last year. He made good, solid decisions even when he was on the move. He just didn't complete the layups. The low percentage rate wasn't because he, took a lot of risks, threw lots of wild passes downfield. That's a gunslinger. It was because he couldn't complete the swing passes, the hitch routes, and all the little stuff. So, I mean, for the writer to say that, is like, they might as well just put a little parenthetical statement saying, hi, I don't have a clue what I'm talking about, but I like words. So, what is the big thing about Greene that numbers don't figure? If Garrett Green looked at his teammates and said, run through that wall, they run through the wall, come back and ask if he wants anything else. How many of the quarterbacks on this list can say that? I don't know. I doubt that it's very many. Almost guarantee a guy named Sanders wouldn't get it. But that takes a quarterback to a much higher level, and it takes the team with it. Team. I know it's a four-letter word, and to some people, I think it's like a lot of other four-letter words. They think it's a dirty word. But team matters. And if you want to play team ball, you have to have a quarterback that lifts everybody up. Garrett Green does that. That is not considered in any of these lists. And until that sort of thing is considered, every one of these lists is nothing but chat bait. Well, I don't know. Is a video about chat bait? Maybe so. I like to think there was a chance I said something a little more worthwhile. Really? Hey, we'll see when the season comes. We'll see when the season goes. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm going to go look for a little more chat bait. So long.